So hello everyone, this is Reverend Allen here. Just want to let everyone know that this being Advent season, I was given a great idea for doing something during this Advent season leading up to Christmas. And that idea came from a fellow minister, and she said that it would be nice to have books read online so that people can hear it or children can hear it wherever they want to and whenever they want to hear Christmas stories or stories that might have been favorites of people leading all the way up to Christmas. So my first book today is called Christmas Moccasins, and it's written by and illustrated by Ray Buckley. And so I'm going to read that one, and then hopefully throughout the weeks leading up to Christmas, we'll have more stories as I put them on. After this video, if you'd like to leave a comment or leave some of your favorite stories or what this story meant to you, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Christmas Moccasins by Ray Buckley. December moons are never alone. This one, surrounded by ice crystals, embraced the snow with its secondhand light and coldly shone on the two of us. My grandmother always wore moccasins. With hardly a sound, they made rounded snow hugs impressed in the drifts. "How much further?" I asked, holding on to her coat. "Not far," she said softly. "Not far." I wonder if the trees remembered us, remembered that months before that we had walked this way. Did they recall that an old woman and a small child had been stopped by 3 drunken youths? Did the trees remember that those youths had hit us, that they had knocked us down, and laughing had taken our coats and my grandmother's moccasins? Would they know that my grandmother had walked home barefoot in the snow, and that frostbite had taken 2 toes? Arriving back at my grandmother's house, we didn't exchange words. We didn't know what to say. My grandmother boiled water in the tea kettle. She poured a cup half full for me, and then poured canned milk into hot water. While I sat at her table, she filled a basin with water. Softly she unrolled and unbraided her hair, which hung below her knees in soft shades of white, gray, and black. Her small ambered hand splashed water on her upturned face as she lifted her eyes toward the ceiling. Carefully, she dipped her hands into the basin again and again, putting the length of her hair, her shoulders, her torso, her legs. In October, with no stream unfrozen, it was her way of cleansing her spirit, the way of beginning something sacred. In the twilight of the kitchen, my grandmother was praying. She was a remarkable beader with tiny Czechoslovakian beads, so small they strained the eye. She began to make 3 pairs of moccasins. Slowly they emerged, the tops and sides covered in faceted beads of blue, yellow, red, and white. And then without a thought, she did the unexpected. My grandmother carefully began beating the bottoms of the moccasins, something rarely seen. November slept, and December danced white. Each day the moccasins became more lovely. Christmas Eve came, and the moccasins laid on the shelf near the kitchen. Grandmother smoothed out the brown paper saved from the butcher. Carefully, each set of moccasins was laid on its own piece of paper and wrapped securely. Now grandmother filled the basin with water and, dipping her hands into the coolness, quietly patted her warm face, her hair, her shoulders, her legs. Without a word, she motioned for me to stand by her. She dipped my hands into the water and brought them to my face. I patted my short hair, my shoulders, my legs, as I seen her do. We put on our coats and, stepping out onto the snowflakes which came to greet us, we began to walk. Pausing at the top of a low hill, she prayed quietly. I could not control the pounding of my heart. Why are we here? I asked my grandmother. Why are we going to see them on Christmas Eve? Her shoulders and head were bent toward the snow. There was a long quiet before her words were heard. We're here to do the Creator's work, she said. We're here to do the Creator's work. It seemed that the walk from the top of the hill to the house below took forever. Snow reached my grandmother's knees and hurried past us as if it had a journey of its own. Our journey was much slower, as if our heavy hearts kept our legs from moving. The door was opened by a large man. Behind him was a juniper tree covered in Christmas lights. I have small presents for your sons, my grandmother began. May I give them? She handed each a package carefully wrapped. To each, she said, I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas. God bless you. The room was quiet. 3 pair of moccasins lay in 3 sets of hands, covered in faceted beads in white and red and blue and yellow. They caught the light of the cabin like the snow caught the light of the moon. There was no need for words. None were spoken. The moon shone down on an old woman with a limp and a little boy holding onto her coat. With shoulders back, we smiled at the snow, the trees, and the world around our feet. At the grove of trees, my grandmother paused to touch each one, as if to say, it's okay. It's okay. In a small house, we're captives of God's love, but we were truly free, liberated by the same love. And that's the end of the Christmas moccasin. I surely delight in this story because it really has a sense of God's love for us. And even when People don't understand, how could somebody love somebody who does something terrible to them and yet do something great? It's only the love of God, the same love that He's shown toward us. So during this Advent season, while many are trying to find the perfect gift, there is no perfect, more wonderful gift than the love of Christ that we share with others. So I hope that you enjoyed this story today, and may it remind us of this Advent season. Just as the three wise men have been searching for the Christ child, that we continue to search for Christ in our Advent. God bless.